Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Dr. DeChavo. I hope everyone is doing well and enjoying a little sun this summer. We are moving into week 6, ladies and gentlemen. We are almost halfway there. So for week 5, this is getting a little repetitious. Oh, I'm so sorry. I copied and pasted it. You caught me. There we go. For week 6, and I started putting the dates up here because I was getting a little confused. I like having the span of weeks. And of course, I just go Monday to Monday, realize that week 5 ends on the 26th and 6 starts there. It overlaps a little bit. So there you go. Okay. So please review the material. There's one case study this week as well. And I recopied all the material for exam 2. So that opens June 30th, closes July 3rd. Please remember to use RP Now. Enter through that. If it asks for a password, you've forgotten to use RP Now. So go back in and go through RP Now. I attached that study guide. It's the same one as I sent last week. This is the same announcement. That's why I copied and pasted it. I just always do it 2 weeks in a row before exams open up. Reach out if you have any questions, of course. But I wanted to do something a little bit different this week. First of all, we'll look at GI. Boy, GI has a lot. It's a lot of material, but boy, it's very important material because the GI tract has a lot of parts to it. If you think about it, I always joke, but it's true. From mouth to anus, it's really just one big tube. But then we have these organs hanging off of it that contribute to it. So it is quite involved. However, you probably already have a basis of knowledge for this. Don't forget, you guys have a lot of background. Use that background, use your experiences. For me, it's helpful if I try to remember experiences and correlate the information with that. For example, I had diverticulitis. I'm almost a pro when it comes to diverticulitis now because I had it. I'm interested in the mechanisms that cause it, how to treat it, how we can help it, etc. So here's a general overview, as always, with our objectives. Here's your readings from your book. And once again, these great reviews. Use these reviews to maybe make notes, to review, to test your knowledge, to go back and look at what is there and say, what do I remember about that? Okay, so here's the general overview for 38, 39. There isn't a general overview for 37, you can see, because this is stuff that you should remember. Now, I know some of you have come back to school after being out for a while. I get it. It's okay if you don't remember. Just take some time and review it. Now, moving down, you only have the one case study this week. Please remember that we have 2 weeks to grade the case studies. So, for example, we're moving into week 6. I'll get the week 4 case studies done. You guys have been doing a very nice job. As long as you follow those rubrics we have posted, do your own work, keep the Turnitin score below 24, you're good to go. Okay? So, what I wanted to do is I opened up these notes. I want to go over a few test questions and how to read them as we move into week 6 and the next exam. So this is from the chapter 37 notes that are provided to you. And this is a great example because I know I can usually write with this program. Hold on a second. I don't think I could find it on this one. All right, I think my cursor shows up, and if not, you'll see what I'm saying. So what I find when I review questions for students, and we cannot open the exam for you, we cannot give you test questions after to try to keep the integrity of the exams. However, if I sit and review things and I tell people what they need to review, quite often what I find is people don't read the questions well. You got to read the heck out of these questions. And what I mean by that is I literally go word by word. Bile. So the first thing that I do is I review in my head, where is bile made? Where is it stored? What does it do? And then is produced. this is a key word. Not stored, not dumped into. Where is it produced? By which organ? So we're looking at the organ that creates the bile itself. And I know this probably seems rudimentary to you. However, so many times when I go over these questions, people were like, oh, I knew that. So I don't want you to lose points over misreading questions. You got to read the heck out of these questions. Okay, so you probably have an idea by now, and use all these questions in these lecture notes to help you practice. Really take this. So bile is produced by which organ? Okay, small intestine. Is that correct? No, here's the flip side of it. It's not correct because that's where bile is dumped into. That's where we put bile to digest fats. Bile is produced by which organ? Gallbladder. Nope, that's where it's stored. So this one word can change everything. If this said stored, it'd be completely different. Pancreas, nothing to do with bile. It is created by the liver, okay? So you gotta read the heck out of these questions. Let's look at one or two more. Patients who suffer from ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease, I'd pause right there. Okay, so if patients, they have both those inflammatory disorders, okay, we're gonna be talking about that, have abdominal pain, which is the result of distension and inflammation. So once again, I would think about it. Patients with those diseases have pain in the abdomen. Immediately I start thinking about the pain in the abdomen that I had with diverticulitis, even though it's not the same disease. I'm not lumping them together. Use something that you haven't, you guys have all had patients with appendicitis, diverticulitis, things like that. That type of pain, that awful, unrelenting pain that you cannot get rid of, is what type of pain? So if we go through it and look at it, parietal, I'm not sure if that rings a bell or not. Parietal means more like body wall. Okay, so no. Somatic means body parts like skeletal muscle. You know, if you have somebody who has sciatica or they've pulled a muscle, that would be somatic. No. Referred, well, if we pinch a nerve, it's referred pain, it goes down the arm. I don't think that's quite right. Visceral. Visceral is another anatomical word for the organs. And also we quite often use it as a description for pain with the organ. So visceral pain, okay? So once again, read the heck out of the questions, try to visualize the question or get an idea of what the answer might be in your head, and then you look through the choices after you have an idea. You could do it the other way too. If you don't know what this means, maybe go back this way and you may remember what the other words mean and you could rule them out. Okay, let's do one more. An inherited disease associated with pancreatic enzyme deficiency. You guys are already probably like, I know this, right? So it's inherited, it's genetic, we know that, okay? And it's associated with the pancreas and how it releases those enzymes and how they are deficient. So with that, you want to think digestive, you want to think, malabsorption kind of thing. And that is something that we went over and that should pop right out at you, cystic fibrosis, okay? So practice this with the questions that are embedded into the notes, and I think it will absolutely help you to be a better test taker. The other thing I wanted to somewhat go over with the notes, I know that there's a lot, okay? I know that there's a lot. So when you start to look at these diseases, try to get a general overall of the disease and then look at the differences between them. So these are pretty specific. But you want to be looking for things that really pop that out. So atresia, okay? If you have an esophagus that ends in a blind pouch. Gosh, that should be super easy for you guys. As long as you remember where the esophagus begins and end, you should know that this will be an esophagus that doesn't connect the mouth to the stomach, which can cause all sorts of issues. I mean, you shouldn't even really have to look at the rest of it. You should be able to get an idea of how that goes wrong. Okay. Now, and you could see sometimes it disconnects, sometimes it'll connect to the trachea. With your backgrounds, that should be a pretty easy correlation. If you have, multiple diseases that, like inflammatory diseases, for example, I know that I'm trying to find something. These are all pretty separate and distinct. But if you have inflammatory diseases, you can memorize the ideas of inflammation, but then look for the differences. So you're looking for things that differentiate these diseases and really make them stick out. Okay. All right, I think that's all I had to review for this. And you can get it from the names too, right? Malformations will be in the anus and the rectum. So I guess what I'm trying to say is try to bring in the background that you already have to correlate with this information to try to really associate it. Okay. All right, as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I hope you're all doing well. I hope that little bit of review helps, and have a great day. Take care.